Her desire for a son blinded her completely. In her obsession, she abandoned her little daughters one by one, believing girls were a burden. But fate had other plans. Years later, one of those daughters returned, a millionaire, not for revenge, but to teach a lesson that would shatter her mother's pride and change her life forever. The delivery room was quiet, too quiet. For a moment, that was supposed to be filled with joy. The nurse smiled softly as she placed two tiny, wriggling babies in Clara's trembling arms. "Congratulations, Mrs. Dawson," she said kindly. "You've been blessed with twin girls." Twin girls. The words fell like stones inside Clara's chest. Her husband, Richard, stood at the foot of the bed, his expression hardening. He didn't speak, didn't smile. He just turned and walked toward the window, staring out at the hospital parking lot, jaw clenched. Clara looked down at the babies, so small, their cheeks pink, their eyes half open, searching for warmth. They cooed softly, one reaching out with a tiny hand that brushed her wrist. For a brief, fleeting second, Clara's heart stirred, but then Richard spoke. All that pain, all that waiting, and for what? His voice was low, bitter. "Two girls, Clara, two useless girls." Her eyes filled with tears. "Richard, please!" "I told you," he interrupted sharply. "I needed a son, someone to carry my name, someone to take over the business. What am I supposed to do with daughters?" The nurse froze by the doorway, awkwardly lowering her head and slipping out to give them privacy. Clara tried to protest, but the words died on her lips. She had loved Richard since she was 19. He was older, confident, powerful. He promised her a life of luxury, a name that meant something. She'd traded her independence for that dream, and now it was crumbling before her eyes. When the nurse returned, the babies had been placed in the nursery. Clara lay in silence, staring at the ceiling, hearing her husband's footsteps fade down the hall. That night, as the hospital dimmed and machines hummed, Clara whispered to herself, "I failed him. I failed us." And with those words, the mother inside her broke. The following days were a blur. Richard didn't visit again. When Clara was discharged, he was waiting in the car outside, engine running, eyes cold. "They're healthy," she murmured as she climbed in. "We should bring them home." He didn't look at her. "You do whatever you want," he muttered, "but don't expect me to raise two disappointments." The drive was silent, except for the wipers beating against the windshield. Clara stared at the raindrops racing down the glass and tried not to cry. When they reached home, Richard went straight upstairs, shutting his study door with a thud. That night, Clara sat alone in the nursery, rocking one of the babies while the other slept. The lamp cast a golden circle of light on their faces. They were perfect, beautiful, innocent, and yet her heart was torn in two. She could hear Richard's voice echoing in her head. Two useless girls. A week later, she made the decision that would haunt her forever. It was early morning. The sky was pale, the streets quiet. Clara wrapped the twins in soft blankets and placed them gently in a wicker basket. Her hand shook as she pinned a note to one of their swaddles. "Their names are Emma and Lily. Please take care of them. I can't give them the life they deserve." She stood outside the small orphanage on Maple Street, a buildings she'd passed many times but never entered. The sign above the door read, St. Mary's Home for Children. She hesitated. For a moment, she almost turned back. The baby stirred, tiny whimpers rising from the basket. One of them opened her eyes, dark, curious, trusting. Clara knelt, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You deserve more than me." Then she knocked once, left the basket by the door, and ran. She didn't look back. Inside, the matron, a middle-aged woman named Sister Anne, opened the door moments later. Her eyes widened at the sight of the basket. She lifted the twins gently, murmuring, "Oh, you poor little angels, don't worry. You're safe now." The note fluttered to the ground. Years passed. The twins grew up in that orphanage, side by side, but with very different hearts. Lily was gentle but fragile, always longing for love, always asking about the mother who left them. Emma, on the other hand, built walls. She didn't cry when others got adopted. She didn't beg for attention. She studied, read every book she could find, and told herself one day, I'll make something of my life. When she turned 16, Emma got her first part-time job cleaning tables at a diner across town. She used her earnings to buy pencils and sketch pads. Architecture fascinated her. The way buildings could hold people's memories. The way structure could protect fragile hearts. She dreamed of designing homes that no one would ever abandon. Sister Anne noticed her talent. "You have a gift, Emma," she said one night, smiling as Emma showed her drawings. "Maybe that gift was born from all the pain you've carried." Emma shrugged. "Maybe. I just don't want anyone to feel unwanted like we did." Lily smiled beside her. "You're the strong one, Em. You always were." But tragedy would strike again. At 18, Lily fell ill. Pneumonia. The orphanage tried to care for her, but the fever wouldn't break. Emma stayed by her bedside every night, holding her hand, whispering, "Don't you dare leave me." Lily smiled weakly. "Promise me something, Em. Promise me you'll build that home, the one no one can be thrown away from." Emma's tears fell on her sister's hand. "I promise." Lily's eyes closed, and Emma kept that promise close to her heart for the rest of her life. 20 years later, Emma Dawson was no longer the poor orphan girl of Maple Street. She was one of the most respected architects in the state, known for her compassion-driven designs. Her company, Haven Built Designs, specialized in shelters, community homes, and medical facilities for the elderly. Her office was filled with awards, but she never flaunted them. Her staff often said, "Ms. Dawson doesn't build buildings. She builds hope." One chilly autumn morning, her assistant knocked on her office door. "You've got a new project proposal," he said. "A private nursing home. Old building needs redesign and restoration." Emma looked up. "What's it called?" "Silver Pines Care Center. Somewhere outside Greenville. They say the place is falling apart." She nodded. "Send me the file. I'll go see it myself." That decision would change everything. The drive to Greenville took 2 hours. The landscape shifted from city streets to quiet countryside. When Emma arrived, the nursing home stood before her like a forgotten relic. Cracked walls, peeling paint, a sagging roof. Inside, the smell of disinfectant and loneliness lingered. Old residents sat in the hallways, some staring blankly at the TV, others dozing in wheelchairs. A frail woman with silver hair sat by a window, humming softly to herself. Something about her made Emma pause. "Who's that?" she asked the nurse. "Oh, that's Clara Benson," the nurse replied. "She's been here for a few years. Doesn't get visitors. Keeps an old locket around her neck. Never lets anyone touch it." Emma smiled faintly. "She seems peaceful." The nurse chuckled sadly. "Peaceful, yes, but lonely. Most of them are." Emma walked through the halls, taking notes. The walls needed new lighting. The rooms needed warmth. But beneath the decay, she saw potential, a chance to build something meaningful. Before leaving, she stopped by the woman again. Clara looked up, her eyes cloudy with age. "You new here?" Clara asked softly. "I'm just visiting," Emma replied kindly. "I might be redesigning this place." Clara nodded. "Good. Maybe you can make it feel like home. It used to, a long time ago." There was something in her tone, a quiet ache that tugged at Emma's heart. As she turned to go, she noticed the locket around the old woman's neck, gold, heart-shaped, worn by time. For a second, she thought she saw familiar initials engraved on it, E and L. She froze. Her mind flashed back to childhood, the tiny tag that had been attached to her baby blanket at the orphanage. The letters E and L, Emma and Lily. No, it couldn't be. "Ma'am," she asked gently, "may I see your locket? It's beautiful." Clara's hand went to her chest, protective. "No one touches this," she whispered. "It's all I have left." Emma smiled, backing away. "Of course, I understand." But her heart raced. That night, she couldn't sleep. She pulled out the only memento she kept from the orphanage, a faded note Sister Anne had given her when she turned 18, the note that had been pinned to her blanket. Her eyes filled with tears as she traced the handwriting. Their names are Emma and Lily. She remembered the faint scent of lavender that lingered on that paper. Soft, faint, just like the scent she'd noticed on the old woman's shawl. Could it be? Could this woman, lonely, forgotten, trapped in a home she didn't love, be the mother who had left her on that doorstep decades ago? Emma tried to push the thought away, but it haunted her. The next week, she returned to the nursing home under the guise of taking more measurements. Clara was in the same spot by the window, humming the same tune. This time, Emma brought flowers. "For your room," she said softly. Clara smiled, eyes twinkling faintly. "You remind me of someone," she murmured. "Someone I lost a long time ago." Emma's throat tightened. "A daughter?" Clara hesitated. "Two," she whispered. "Twins! I was young, foolish. I thought I needed to please someone more than I needed to love them." Her voice broke. "I left them. I've regretted it every day since." Tears filled Emma's eyes. She took a deep breath and reached into her bag, pulling out the folded note she had carried all her life. "Is this your handwriting?" she asked quietly. Clara stared at the paper, trembling. Her hands rose to her mouth. Where did you get that?" Emma's voice cracked. "You left it with me." For a long, breathless moment, silence filled the room. Clara's eyes widened. Her frail body shook as she reached forward, fingers brushing Emma's cheek. "Emma?" she whispered. My Emma?" Emma nodded, tears streaming freely now. "I'm her, the daughter you left." Clara sobbed uncontrollably, clutching her. "Oh, God, oh, my sweet girl, I thought I'd never see you again." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Emma held her gently, though her own heart was breaking. "I know," she whispered. "It's all right." "No, it's not," Clara cried. "I ruined everything. I let your sister—" "She's gone," Emma said softly. "But she forgave you long before I did." They wept together, mother and daughter, strangers bound by blood and regret. When the nurse peeked in, she found them holding each other like two pieces of a broken soul that had finally found their way back. That night, Emma stayed long after visiting hours. She told Clara everything: how she grew up, how she worked her way through school, how she built homes to heal others. Clara listened, tears in her eyes. "You became everything I wasn't," she whispered. Emma smiled faintly. "No, Mom, I became what you wished you could be." Clara reached for her hand. "You don't hate me?" Emma shook her head. "I did once, but now I just feel sad for the years we lost." As the sun rose, she stood by the window, watching the light spill across the old building. The walls were cracked, but inside something new had begun. The first hint of grace